The bus shuddered violently as terrified passengers screamed. The driver yelled, "We've lost the brakes." Directly in their path, a massive tanker truck blocked the road. Amina clutched her husband's hand and prayed fervently. Then, darkness swallowed everything. Comment where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe and follow this gripping story. Emeka and his wife Amina prepared for their annual Christmas journey to their hometown. For Emeka, these visits meant reuniting with childhood friends, savoring homegrown meals, and escaping the city's chaos. Though Amina usually shared his excitement, this year, an inexplicable dread weighed on her heart. She moved through chores listlessly, pausing each time she folded Emeka's shirts to sigh. She'd begged him repeatedly to join her in prayer before traveling, but he'd only chuckle. "Why worry?" he'd say. "The car runs fine, and the roads are clear." Amina stopped arguing but never stopped praying. Sometimes aloud, sometimes in silent whispers to God. Her prayers weren't for riches, just protection and peace. As departure neared, Emeka buzzed with plans. "Imagine the fresh palm wine," he enthused, dismissing Amina's concerns. But the unease clung to her. Watching him joke about village feasts, she yearned for him to kneel beside her just once and seek divine guidance. 2 nights before their trip, Emeka drove home from work, mentally reviewing their preparations. His headlights revealed an elderly woman by the roadside, her faded wrapper neatly tied, a woven basket in hand. She gestured weakly for help. "Where are you headed, Mama?" Emeka asked after pulling over. "Just down this lane," she replied. He offered a ride. Silence filled the car until the woman spoke gravely, "Don't travel this Christmas. But if you must, fast and pray, danger awaits." Emeka laughed. "I've made this trip for years. What could happen now?" As she exited, her final words hung in the air. "Pray before you go." 3 weeks earlier, Emeka Onyeka adjusted his tie in their Lagos apartment's mirror, already mentally at his hometown's Christmas festival. "This year, I'll buy that parcel of land near the river," he told Amina. "Imagine building a proper family house there." Amina paused while packing their son's clothes. A strange chill ran down her spine. "Something feels wrong about this trip." Emeka laughed. "You've been watching too many Nollywood spiritual films." But that night, Amina dreamt of a python coiled around their moving car. She woke gasping, her nightgown soaked with sweat. When she tried to tell Emeka at breakfast, he dismissed it with a wave of his newspaper. "Dreams mean nothing." The mechanic checked everything, tires, engine, even the wipers. Their neighbor Mama Ngozi noticed Amina's distress at the market. "The spirit world is restless this season," the elderly woman murmured, pressing a small crucifix into Amina's palm. "Keep this close." The night before their trip, Emeka worked late at his architecture firm, finalizing blueprints for a new project. The Lagos traffic had been unbearable all week, so when his colleague suggested an unfamiliar shortcut through the old industrial district, he hesitated only a moment before taking it. The road was poorly lit, the asphalt cracked and potholed. His headlights cut through the thick humidity, illuminating a scene that made his foot ease off the accelerator, a collapsed roadside stall, its wooden frame splintered as if struck by an unseen force. And beside it, standing unnaturally still, was an old woman. Even before she spoke, the air around her felt wrong. The usual sounds of night, crickets, distant car horns, the rustle of palm leaves, had vanished. Only the low hum of his engine remained. The woman's skin had an eerie, almost translucent glow, and her Eboran wrapper was impossibly white, untouched by the dust that coated everything else. When he rolled down the window, the scent of crushed herbs and something metallic, like old coins, filled the car. "Your wife prays for you." Her voice was wrong too. Not just aged, but layered, as if multiple people spoke at once, some whispering, some chanting. Emeka's skin prickled. Heed her warnings. Against his better judgment, he helped her into the passenger seat. Her grip was cold, her weight unsettlingly light, as if she weren't entirely solid. She gave an address, a street he'd never heard of, and fell silent. The GPS showed nothing. 10 minutes later, she pointed to a dimly lit intersection. Here. Emeka pulled over. When he turned to ask if she needed help getting out, the seat was empty. The door hadn't opened. The scent of herbs lingered. His hands shook so badly he had to park and steady his breathing. By morning, the memory had blurred at the edges, like a half-remembered dream, until the motor park. At the motor park, their usual driver, Kwame, circled the bus with a frown. He pulled Emeka aside, voice low. The brakes feel spongy. Not right. Emeka sighed. Did you tell the manager? Kwame's jaw tightened. He says all vehicles were inspected. Threatened to give my route to another driver if I complained. Nearby, Amina stiffened. 3 black chickens were tied beneath a neighboring bus, their beaks bound with twine. Sacrifices. Her stomach churned. Before Chidi could ask questions, she dragged him away, whispering a prayer under her breath. The first half of the trip was uneventful. Then, as the road curved through a dense stretch of forest, Chidi tugged Amina's sleeve. Mummy, why is that lady from Daddy's car sitting up front? Amina's blood turned to ice. The passenger seat beside Kwame was empty, but for a split second, she thought she saw the shimmer of white fabric. Then the brakes failed. Kwame's shout. The screech of metal. The world tilting. Screams. Darkness. The hospital reeked of antiseptic and burnt flesh. Amina counted 37 stitches on Chidi's forehead, her own arm in a sling. Emeka was in surgery, crushed legs, internal bleeding. A nurse murmured to her colleagues, not realizing Amina could hear, third accident this month on that bend. They say Adana Onyeka consulted the Dibia after her sons were disgraced. Amina's breath caught. Adana. Emeka's stepmother. The woman who'd sworn vengeance when Emeka exposed her sons for embezzling family funds last Christmas. Then she appeared, the old woman from the car, now standing at Emeka's bedside. Visible only to them. Adana traded 7 years of her life for that curse, the woman said, her multi-voiced whisper filling the room. But your wife's psalms created a shield even dark forces couldn't fully penetrate. Amina's knees buckled. She had prayed, fiercely, desperately, every night since Emeka's strange encounter. 5 years later, Emeka leaned on his cane beside Adana's fresh grave. The village buzzed with rumors, how the once proud woman had withered away, her skin etching with strange markings no doctor could explain. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, Emeka told the gathering. He and Amina had turned their horror into purpose, a road safety ministry, exposing corrupt transport unions who cut corners on maintenance for profit. That evening, at their new riverside home, the family gathered for prayers. As Amina read Psalm 91, Chidi, now 13 and all elbows, glanced toward the trees. A figure watched from the shadows. White Aboran. Glowing skin. He blinked. Only fireflies flickered in the twilight. The rains came early that year, pounding the tin roof of Emeka and Amina's riverside home like impatient spirits demanding entry. Chidi, now 15, sat at the wooden dining table, sketching in his notebook, a habit he'd developed after the accident. His pencil moved in quick, jagged strokes, forming a face. A woman's face. Amina paused behind him, a bowl of pepper soup in her hands. Her breath caught. The old woman. The same one from the car, from the hospital, from the trees. Chidi, she said carefully, who is that? He blinked, as if waking from a trance. I don't know. She's been in my dreams. That night, the first sign appeared, a handprint, burned into the front door like a brand. Not from fire. From something else. Emeka touched the mark, his fingers coming away with a faint, shimmering residue. She's back. The next morning, they drove to Nsukka, to the home of Dibia Nwokoi, an old man who had once helped Emeka's grandfather. The Dibia's hut smelled of dried herbs and aged parchment. His milky eyes studied them before he spoke. Adana's curse did not die with her, he said. She anchored it to something, an object, a place. Until it is broken, it will hunt you. How do we find it? Amina asked. The Dibia placed a gourd of palm wine on the floor. The one who delivered the warning, the messenger, she is not just a spirit. She is Muo Yua, a world spirit. She walks between the living and the dead. If you find her, she will lead you to the anchor. Chitty's sketch fell from his pocket. The Dibia's face darkened. She has already chosen you, boy. That is both a blessing, and a trap. The forgotten box. That evening, Emeka remembered something, a locked metal box Adana had kept in her room. After her death, her belongings had been distributed among relatives, but no one recalled seeing it. A phone call to Adana's youngest sister revealed the truth. She gave it to him, the woman whispered. The driver. The one who died in your accident. Kwame. Kwame had family in Enugu. If the box was still there. Before they could leave, the lights flickered. The air grew thick, humming like a swarm of bees. From the hallway, a shadow stretched, too long, too wrong. Chitty's voice was barely a whisper, she's here. The old woman stood at the end of the hall, her abhorrent glowing faintly. This time, she didn't speak. Instead, she lifted a skeletal finger and pointed, west. Toward Enugu. Then the house shook. Glass shattered. A wind howled through rooms with no open windows. When it stopped, she was gone. Amina's hands trembled as she clutched her rosary. We go to Enugu. Tomorrow. Kwame's widow, Ijeoma, received them with wary hospitality. She had remarried but kept a few of Kwame's things. A box. She frowned. Yes. He said it was important. Never opened it. She led them to a storage room. Beneath a stack of old newspapers sat a rusted metal box, its lock crusted with something dark, dried blood. Emeka pried it open. A blackened kola nut. A scrap of Emeka's old shirt. A photograph of Adana's sons, their eyes scratched out. And a small, grotesque doll, wrapped in thorns. Amina recoiled. A puppet. The curse's anchor. That night, they built a fire behind Ijeoma's house. The Dibia had warned them, burn it at crossroads, where spirits linger. As the flames consumed the doll, the air grew heavy. The old woman appeared beside Chitty, her layered voice whispering. The curse is broken, but debts remain. What debts? Emeka demanded. She turned her glowing eyes to Chitty. The boy carries the sight now. The spirits will always whisper to him. Amina stepped forward. No. Take it back. The woman smiled, a terrible, knowing smile. It is not mine to take. But I will offer this, a prayer for a prayer. His sight, for your voice. Amina's hand flew to her throat. My voice? For 1 year. Silence, for his safety. Emeka shook his head. No. We'll find another way. But Chitty spoke. I accept. Before anyone could stop him, he reached out, and touched the spirit's hand. A blinding light. Then darkness. Amina woke with a gasp. She tried to speak, nothing came out. Chitty, however, looked at peace. It's okay, mummy. I can handle it. The old woman was gone. Only the charred remains of the doll remained. 3 days later, back home, Chitty woke his parents in the middle of the night. She's here again, he whispered. But this time, the old woman wasn't alone. Behind her, shrouded in mist, stood Kwame. And he was smiling. Years later, Chidi would become a renowned artist, his paintings filled with spirits only he could see. Amina's voice returned the day his first exhibition opened. And sometimes,